Jai Guruji, Shukrana Guruji, and Anantam Shukrana Guruji for all the blessings that you have given us and the whole Pariwar, including me. This is related to the very recent satsang that I've had in my life, and I would like to share. And I'd like to do a Shukrana for that to Guruji Maharaj, because it was really a huge blessing that he bestowed on me. So 2 weeks back, I went through a health issue, and I had the health issue started with a little bit of pain on my left hand, the left arm, and it went down, and I had and the pain went to my chest, and we got a little worried. So my son and another very dear person pushed me to go to the doctor. I've had a hypertension BP problem, so I was thinking on those lines that, oh my God, my BP is going to is fluctuating and is going to create havoc, and the doctor is going to put me on a BP medication, which I didn't want to start so early in my life. So all this while I'm trying to think about the BP side, Guruji had completely a different plan for me, or a different thing for me. I go to the doctor, and he does a routine test. He does all those typical routine heart tests, and in one of the tests, my results come out very bad, and he suspects a blockage in the heart, and he says there's definitely a blockage in one of your arteries because your TMT has come out really bad. I never even in my wildest dreams thought that this could be one of the issues. So, okay, I come back home, we process the information, and we are still doubtful that no, this can't be the thing. It has to be something else. So we decide to take a second opinion. Now when I go for the second opinion to another doctor, he looks at my reports and he says, you please get admitted right now. And we look at him and we get even more scared now that what is he saying also. So I tell him that no, I can't just get admitted right now. I need to go back, and we need to decide, think. And generally people don't do that, don't have that kind of a reaction when it comes to a heart issue. But I had certain pending things that I didn't want to leave unfinished. And obviously I have 2 kids, so I had to plan certain things for them also. So we come back home, and now we are scared, like really scared. And my family gets informed about all of it. That was the only one night when I was a little scared. And I sat with Guruji that night, and I gave my fear to him. And in return, I decided to walk in faith. And I said, whatever be the thing, I know you're going to be with me, and whichever way we come out, it's going to be your blessing. So if there is a blockage, because by that time my husband was still not convinced, and he was like, no, these people might just how do I trust them, and these people might just put something into your heart, and is it really required? Maybe we can do with medication and all that. So he's not convinced, and he's totally stressed. And then I tell Guruji that either ways, whatever you do, it's going to be your blessing. So let's just take it as that. And after that night, I did not feel scared at all. But I could see everybody around me completely scared and stressed and not knowing what to do, what is the right thing to do, because with health there's never the right thing to do. You cannot and it cannot be perfect, and we don't know, at least I don't know anything much about the medical systems and medicines and all. So our papers go in for my reports go in for an insurance approval, which is a must over here. And the doctor then calls up and says that, see, even if the insurance approval doesn't come, you please come in an emergency, and I'm going to do an emergency procedure on you, and we will put the stent and we'll do it. So everything he said, and he was like, even before he could see what the actual thing was, he was convinced that there is a blockage, and it was just a question of whether there is a blockage in one artery or more than one artery. So his body language and his way of speaking really was like that there is an issue. I mean, sometimes you just and if you go with that mindset, you will always find what you want to find. That's how our brain also works. And my husband was the only guy. He was like, how can he be so sure that there's something wrong with you? Why is he so convinced about the fact that you have a problem? So anyways, next day we go, the insurance approval doesn't come, and he calls us and he says, you please come as an emergency case, and we've kept everything ready for you, and you come. Just before I'm leaving for the hospital, packed everything, and because he said you'll take another 2 days to get discharged. So I make all the arrangements for my kids, and just before I'm leaving from the hospital, my dad messages me and he says that we showed your reports here in Gurgaon, and this doctor has come up with this diagnosis that this procedure is absolutely not required right now, and you can be treated on medication. We are about to sit in the car, and once we reach the hospital, there is no going back. So again, a big dilemma, and we don't know. And that point, I tell him that let's just go. Guruji is with us, and he will do the right thing. If it is supposed to happen today, it will happen, and if it is not supposed to happen, it will not happen. Something will change, and we'll have. In the meantime, I try and contact that cardiac specialist in Gurgaon, and I get to know that he's very busy and he might not be able to speak. So I said, okay, we have a half an hour window before we reach the hospital in case he can call us and tell us why does he think of this diagnosis and what should we do, because I'm on the way to getting a procedure done, and we also think that the procedure is not the only option right now. So his assistant is quite kind enough, and she says, okay, fine, let me try and get you. So I tell her, see, it's time critical. If you call me within the next half an hour, only then it makes sense, because after that, I'll be in the middle of the procedure, and then nothing can stop. So she says, okay. And we reach the hospital, the normal drill happens, and I'm getting ready. And the doctor calls, and then he explains to my husband that why this seems to be a wrong diagnosis, and you should not do it. So he comes inside and he tells me that this is what he has said. Why don't we stop now and go back home, take a pause, and then decide to come back. And anyways, we don't want to go in an emergency, because in an emergency, the recording is different, and probably they might they might not give you the right information. So he comes and speaks to the doctor, and the doctor says, all right, you should have told me, you wasted my time and all that. But he says, that's fine. And by then our insurance gets rejected. It never gets rejected, but that day our insurance gets rejected. So I'm thinking, in my mind, okay, Guruji also doesn't want this procedure to happen today, so let's go back home. And we come back home that night. Now, he says Friday, Saturday being a holiday over here, it's difficult to get approvals that quickly. So we were looking at Sunday or Monday for the procedure to happen. We were still looking at the for the procedure to happen. So we come back home, and now he's more worried that, oh my God, I've got you back. If something happens in the next 2-3 days, then what happens? So it's a big realization that at that time that, not everything is in our control, and sometimes you really need to leave it on the higher powers. In our case, it's Guruji. So I said, why don't you just leave it on him, and he's got us back. There has to be a reason. No doctor calls you and does an international call to, change things. So this is a big indication. So let's just go back. Let's not worry so much, and let's wait for the insurance to come, and whenever it comes, we'll go. Now, Friday morning, the early morning, we get a message that the insurance has come. We just had one night and said, okay, let's talk to the doctor and ask him to do the thing, and you can tell him that we will definitely take a second opinion after the procedure. We will just not go with whatever you recommend at that point in time, until and unless the blockage is very high and it is in multiple arteries. We will take a pause. So I don't know if that was the right way to go about it. When it comes to heart, I have very limited knowledge, but that's how we went with it. And I was very, very sure in my heart and mind that whichever way it happens, it's going to be Guruji's way. So let's not put too much of brain on it, and let's leave it. There are already too many people putting too much thought, and everybody has ideas. So let's just, I didn't want to complicate my mind, and I knew that he was there. We call up the doctor and we tell him that we are ready to come now, but he says, no, you can't come now. I'm not ready. So you come tomorrow at 1:00. Saturday being our day when we do the Abu Dhabi Satsangs. So I had already requested Subodhji and Anuji to do the seva that day on our behalf, as I was not going to be there. So the procedure time was right at 1:00, and I leave my home at 11:35. The first Shabad that day was played was Nanak Chinta Mat Karo. And that was it. I was the only one who was smiling. There was pin drop silence in my car, but I was smiling because I was smiling, and I went inside smiling. Before I went for my procedure, Guruji again gave me an indication, and I just logged in for 5 minutes on the link, and so the Shabad that was playing was So Sadguru Pyara Mere Naal Hai. And the sister comes in to takes me, and I says, can you wait 2 more minutes? I'll finish the Shabad and then we'll go inside. She's looking at me. I am very happy. I'm smiling. And I send a very smiling picture to my husband, and I get no reaction. So I understand that he is in too much of stress outside. But I'm talking to the sister and I'm saying, oh, it's going to be fine. Don't worry. It's all fine. And my Guruji is going with me. He just said that. So can I take his Swaroop inside? So she said, yeah, you can take it. We put his Swaroop under the pillow. We've been told that it'll take 40 minutes to an hour for the procedure to finish, and we'll get the results. I said, okay, fine, no problem. We go inside, they prepare me, and previous night, one of our Sangat calls up. He works in one of the medical hospitals over here. And he says that auntie डरना नहीं, ये cardiac surgeons बड़े वो होते हैं, आपको डरा देंगे, आपको लगेगा कि आपका हार्ट अभी बंद हो रहा है बट बंद नहीं होगा, डोंट वरी एंड पैनिक मत करना. राज अंकल को बोलना बिल्कुल पैनिक नहीं करने के लिए. तो आई वाज स्माइलिंग एंड आई सेड ठीक है, मैं तो पैनिक नहीं कर रही हूँ बट राज अंकल का आई कांट गारंटी. एंड उस टाइम पे मुझे ऐसे लग रहा था कि आई माइट गेट अप फ्रॉम द बेड बट ही माइट. So I said, don't worry, I'm not panicking. And he said, don't worry about the cardiac of these doctors. They will use very harsh words, but ऐसा कुछ उतना severe होता नहीं है, आप बिल्कुल निकल जाओगे, गुरुजी आपके साथ हैं. Those were his words. Previous night conversation when I had. So I said, okay, fine. I think when the mantra jap or between the mantra jap or the aarti, my procedure started. I think I looked at the watch in the OT, and he starts scanning my heart and the arteries, and then in a matter of 7 minutes or probably 10 minutes or a little above that, these are his exact words in the OT, and I've never heard any doctor speaking like this, but he says that what beautiful arteries, what beautiful heart. Why is this person on the table right now? Please discharge her immediately. Discharge her, discharge her, discharge her. And meri chutti waste ho gayi. And he walks out of the OT. His HOD is standing there, and he says, "Are you sure?" Because she was complaining of pain, and look at her tests. They are so bad. How can this be possible? Go and check again. So he comes back. And he says, what am I supposed to find? There isn't anything to find right now. And he then runs the entire procedure on a screen. And he tells me, look, it's so clear. It's so clear. I wonder what's wrong. And I'm smiling. I was again smiling, and I was smiling more this time because the Guruji's blessings had completely, I mean, for such a long time, I've heard all the satsangs in which everybody shares that Guruji's changed medical reports and Guruji's done this. And that day, I was witnessing that. And I had absolutely no idea how to tell them or what to express. And I mean, it was such a feeling that there are absolutely no words for it. And as many times as I've run it in my mind, I still, when it happens to you, then you realize how magical it is, how beautiful it is. Sorry, not magical, how beautiful it is. And when we say that the satsangs are beautiful, I think the person who goes through that satsang, he knows, he can feel that feeling of why it is called beautiful. I used to always wonder that, somebody has gone through so much of pain and we call it a beautiful satsang. But that 1 week, barring that one night when I was really scared, and I went and sat with Guruji that night, and I said, please take away all my fears and please give me so much faith that after that day, I don't have to worry. I don't have to be scared of anything, because whatever you bless me with, whether there is a problem or there is no problem or whatever, you will also give me the strength and the courage to get through it in the most righteous way, according to me, in the way that you would like me to get through it. Because very early, I had read Fakir once, and that thing always stayed with me, that don't love your Guru, live your Guru. And I think that was my one test this time, where I could actually live my Guru more than I loved him. I love him now even more, not because what he did that day, but because the way it was done. It was done in such a beautiful way that I don't think my words justify, or the feeling that I have right now can justify it. And it just made me reflect to everything that led to that one day. This whole year is probably a year where, my family has been in and out of a hospital. First it was my son, then it was my husband, and now it was me. And every single time that we landed up in the hospital for something or the other, he called me towards him. And I always felt that, what am I going to do sitting in a hospital? I can't do anything other than worrying and stressing. I might as well go to him, because he's going to finally do everything, and just be with him. Why do we have to worry so much? Why do we have to think and worry and do anything? Because he's only going to do, and I just have to accept it. So he has taught me that path to walk on. And I feel really thankful and grateful. Guruji, whatever you taught me, I could learn and I could, do it. Because करना तो finally हमारे हाथ में ही होता है. It is not, he can only show us the path, and we have to do it. I believe it like that. कि करना तो हमको ही है. I had the choice of still worrying and doubting, but I chose not to do that. I chose to leave it on to him. And yesterday was a little bad day for me. So I was wondering, am I really out of the woods? But that doesn't matter. Whether I am out of the woods right now or not, it doesn't matter. Whether this problem will crop up or not, again, it doesn't matter, because once you have left it to him, whichever way it has to work, whichever way he thinks is going to be best for me and my family, that's how it will work. So why worry so much? And during that whole time, there was one satsang that kept replaying in my mind, and that was Singla Uncle's satsang, that he recently fell sick and he went walking to the hospital and he came back. So I also said that, okay, I'll also go walking, happy, smiling to the hospital, and I'll come back. And that day, by 3, so it doesn't stop at that. The place from which they put the catheter, that vein, it hurts a lot. And the doctor, they've written on the report that you need to rest for 1 week. You cannot move your right hand. It's going to pain so much. You should not put any pressure on it. And because I was also using blood thinner, so my bleeding wouldn't stop so easily. If it starts bleeding, it could be a huge complication. In less than 24 hours, there was absolutely no pain in my right hand, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was scared of moving it. But then once I removed the Band-Aid after 24 hours, I could move my right hand very freely. I could do everything possible, and there was no bleeding, nothing. The bleeding had stopped very nicely. So it just didn't stop at that one procedure where he cleared my heart, but also the after thing, he changed it completely. There was no pain. I was still not allowed to move my hand because I think my family loves me too much. But there was literally no pain in my hand after 24 hours. And you can just marvel at when it happens to you, it's only that time that you realize how blessed we are, how fortunate we are to be for him to have taken us. And I think I got a very beautiful message from Tanuj Kapoor auntie, and she said that he has blessed you so beautifully, and now you should spend your time loving him even more, doing things what he wants us to do, loving your own family. And I think I want to add loving our community also, so that we should be the Sangat that he'll always be proud of, and he'll feel happy, and we should be able to change other people's way of thinking and how they operate and change things. So Anantam Shukrana Guruji. I mean, I don't know if thank you very much for taking care of us every single time that we have needed you in our lives, and every single time that we faltered. So thank you, Sangaji. This was one satsang for which I really wanted to do a shukrana and share it with all of you, because somewhere in this journey, all the satsangs that we hear every single day, they give us so much of positivity and they inspire us. So when that time comes when you need it, you can recollect from everything that you've heard. And that is why there are so many things that get clarified, that why a satsang should be shared, why we need to express, because we don't know whom we are helping and what we are doing in a very small way. But yeah, for me, I've been listening to so many satsangs and I shy away from sharing. But this was one satsang that I really wanted to share, because somewhere everybody has had a role in this journey of ours, knowingly and unknowingly, consciously or subconsciously. We hear everybody. So you don't know what is going to stick and what is going to motivate you in that one moment where you need a lot of strength. So thank you very much. And my blessings that for me, Guruji is in all of you and the people that I surround myself with, and the amazing souls that all of us are. And these are my real blessings, and I thank each one of you for being a part of my journey and my connect with Guruji. So बहुत बहुत शुक्राना. Thank you very much. Thank you. Jai Guruji.